Sup shooters, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves a track from an act named The Drum titled Mr. Piggy. And if we switch over to here, did a bit early for the switch, but we've got ourselves the art on the screen for the single. Mr. Piggy, it looks like a situation between cops and robbers, and we're going to listen through this track from start to finish. We're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Okay, nice to have the strings come in with the, with the police sirens as well. That's a nice full setting bass in there. Very resonant in those low mids.
Get on your knees and put your hands up, face down, and keep all your eyes shut. Cell phones down and proceed to lick the floor. Move a muscle and spray your head across the wall.
I mean, to be fair, if you want to make a statement, that first verse is a hell of a way to do it, isn't it? I like the sound of the distorted guitars and everything I've got here with these power chords. It's something that I'm familiar with the drum at this point. He likes that kind of early 2000s alt Euro metal kind of vibe. I like the contrast between, the police making them kiss the road and everything like that, and the blood. I mean, obviously this is some heavy subject matter, for obvious reasons. But I also like the angle of the robber not necessarily being depicted as an angel either. That kind of that kind of energy, that aggressive energy there is great on both sides. It really does have that cops and robbers kind of vibe about it. Matches the tone of the rhythm section. Kind of rock rapping that will going on fits the vibe really well. Overdubs as well. Stop me, Piggy, and I'll take your soul. Yeah, so there is absolutely no holding back here. We are not here to screw around. We are not here to be confused. The intent is very clear. I like the little taps on the ride cymbal as well. That does make me think that they're recording this on an acoustic drum kit or something like that. I mean, I don't mind either way. Because again, to note, the drum is doing a 17 tracks in 17 months kind of thing here, where I think the last train that we had, this last song was Anthem of Ukraine, which was obviously very very intensive. We've also had Freight Train and Underrated. So I assume we're going to go over a whole lot of different subject matters, and I'm cool with that. I think that it's a smart move. Nice, very slow crescendo with those buzz rolls. Has a kind of tribal militaristic kind of vibe to it. Nice repetition of the hook line. It's the main message. I love the vocal fry there as well. It's a really powerful performance there from the singer. Really powerful. It's that kind of "you can't catch me now." I wasn't sure how heavy this was going to be, just given the single art and everything like that, with the cute little Piggy on the motorcycle. But there's a bit of darkness to it. There's a bit of edge to it, which makes sense thematically, I like the fact that we're not rolling with straight quarter note drive here. We have some 8th note hi-hats on the offbeat, or snares on the offbeat. A little bit of bending on those strings there for an increase in tension. Hey, yeah, smart move on the offbeats. Nice development in this outro chorus.
Look around and no one's there. Pull down the backs and change cars and fist pump the air. Take off and watch our ride explode. Mr. Piggy, your authority is getting old.
Dig it. Fantastic. Because this is the conclusion of my review of The Drums, Mr. Piggy. Another solid track from The Drum. I think it's about, robbers who are stealing stuff, and the authority of the police is not something they're particularly fond of, and they're aware of the threat if the police catches them, or Mr. Piggy catches them. And they eventually escape at the end, I think. There's a little bit of tension there. And they tell Mr. Piggy that they're going to take his soul if he gets too close. So yeah, you could probably debate this is like an anti-police song or something like that, which I know there's been a bit of controversy too. But again, I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with controversy in music. I think that, talking about this stuff is a really important. It creates, in the optimal circumstance, discussing things like this, subjects like this, enhances the chance of there to be dialogue about it. I'm hoping that there will be people who listen to this and do think about it constructively, but I also know there's people who are going to be siding with the robbers in this one, and that's totally fine. I get it. It's a tricky thing, but I think that this track has been handled, given what we've had, it's been handled really sort of tactfully. A little bit of a dark sense of humor maybe, but that's fine. That's music. Rock isn't supposed to be sterilized and nice and easy to listen to. It's what it is, man. There's a bit of edginess, that aggression there. That's part of what makes rock, man. It's dope. Especially that kind of new metal vibe from the new metal vibe from early 2000s there with those chugged guitars and the basses, heavy bass, and the strings at the start for a little bit of sort of orchestral sort of dimensionality to it. The drums keeping pumping on the way, but also we're giving those eighth notes. But I mean, a testament to the vocalist here is carrying that message across and keeping it nice and powerful. We didn't have a whole lot of range in the way we, communicated with the listener, but I don't think we needed to. It was that one perspective where we were simply sort of either threatening Mr. Piggy or we were trying to communicate how we were sick of it and we wanted to get away from it and what we were going to do and everything like that, and talking about what would happen. So you kind of understood why they wanted to get away, even if you're not massively a fan of people stealing stuff and blowing up their rides afterwards with the bags of gold and stuff like that. I think the vocal style suited the overall sort of suited the lyrics. It made sense from an emotional perspective about why they'd sort of sing like that, why they'd communicate like that, with kind of the rock rapping with a bit of vocal fry there and some of scream, but especially in the interlude, just before that outro chorus. I think that was a smart move. I think at this point, the drummer's becoming very confident with how they approach their performances on the microphone. I don't really find myself criticizing anything. And I liked as well the backing, that hey, that kind of stuff happening in the outro chorus. I liked there was a little bit of extra sort of expansion or that extra layering there, just to kind of give it a little bit extra oomph for that final sort of section there. A little bit of extra kind of power behind it, just to keep things going until the end. Along with that laughter on the outro of the song, I think that was a cool way to do it. They succeeded. Why not be happy about it? The structure of the track at 3:44, I mean, it had sort of like the instrumental intro, and then it had, I said the choruses and the verses and everything like that, and an interlude section as well. We got a lot of sort of backstory about the situation they were going in their journey and the chase and everything like that. We got a 3-act sort of part there where the finale was just him saying that he's not going to be caught and that they're going to get away with it. And, we finish with that being the case, with the happy ending, debatedly. I think the transitions between the sections were seamless. I don't think there were any bits of filler there. We barely had any space between the verses and choruses and stuff like that. And there was just this wall of sound that came in again with those basses and guitars and the little drum parts and all that. And even though there was not a sort of frenetic, intense, quick playing or anything like that, it was just the groove, the sort of quarter note accenting of those hi-hats, especially those cymbals on the drum line with the ghost note 8s there, and the whole note kind of guitar parts there that really gave it a lot of power. And the vocals were just sitting nicely on top because the arrangement wasn't oversaturated with different components. We had the main core parts in that were notched properly in the frequency spectrum and the stereo field, and so things were nice and easy to take in and absorb. That again is a testament to experience, you know, like it's knowing when not to put stuff in, when to take things away and bring them out. And I think that's great, especially we had some sort of like snare drum roll parts and all that, some buzz rolly bits there just to kind of lighten the load in terms of perceived loudness and allowing for a bit of dynamic range there. I think that was really great because it was a loud track, but it also wasn't too loud. It never felt like too much, you know. It was still palatable to listen to even if it was heavy. It's great. And I don't think there was a note out of place with the performance. It was a very professional performance from behalf of the different instrumentalists and everyone else involved, and I think there was a great chemistry between the parts overall. The production, recording and mixing and mastering was splendid. I did like the sound of the vocals and how they were recorded. I think they were filtered properly. They did stack well on top of everything else. You know, like the backing vocals, they you know, like just, it was just, again, there wasn't an oversaturation of vocal effects which allowed for the rawness to come through. I think if you had too much delay and reverb to vocals, especially when you need a bit of fire and fury behind them, it just, you know, you compress them, sure, but you don't want to like make them floaty and stuff like that. It takes away from the effect. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the amount of the bass guitar tone itself. I mean, like, I don't know how the hell they got that to work in the mix. It was such a full sounding bass sound, but it's like they compressed the hell out of it, man, just to make it sit there as kind of almost like a paddish kind of thing. It was so thick. The guitars on the side, how they sat well with it, you know, very careful attention to detail there. I think, again, that's the beauty of sticking with like power chords and stuff like that, because maybe if it had too many other melodic elements, it might have made it too complicated, and then there might have been some sort of perception or presence issues. But yeah, shout out to whoever was doing the mixing and mastering of this track. It's a phenomenal effort. The bass at the start seemed so resonant to me, and I was like, is this going to cause issues later on? But it never did. I think maybe it was just incredibly loud, so maybe the bass, not in a bad way, but it was like louder than I was expecting, so maybe the bass seemed more present. But that's again testament to the dynamic range and stuff like that. Again, which is great. I like it when tracks aren't loud all the time. It's nice to have range there. And the energy levels, you know, finally, limiting compression was, again, it was great. There was no pumping in it. It was nice and balanced there. Things could breathe. It's always a shame, especially in rock and metal, when people over limit it and it just gets a little bit too kind of boxy sounding. It was on the verge of that with this one because they did push it, but I still think that it was just before that point. Just before that point. But anyways, and yeah, this is effectively my review of the Drums Mr. Piggy. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go check out I was about to say Mr. Piggy's social medias. The Drums' various social medias, and they're on digital stream platforms and everything. And stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spider hands out.